Well, firstly, let's start with the introductory question.
Okay.
What's your name, where you're currently based, and what do you currently do in terms of occupation?
Okay. So my name is Lynn Braden. I live in Nanaimo, British Columbia, Canada, and on Vancouver Island, the westmost part of Canada. And I've been the owner and operator of an aesthetics school for about 12 years. But I've unfortunately been sick. I was definitely a very much A-type personality and literally worked myself just about to death. And I've struggled. I slept, and I've just been trying to be able to come back um, for the last 12 years, mostly for the last four since I've been technically awake since almost 4 years now. Um, but it's been a struggle. And so that's what I've been trying to do. And so right now, I'm not currently doing anything. I'm trying to figure out what to do with my business because of COVID.
Mhm.
Uh, I won't be doing that. I'm also immunoglobulin deficient. And the type that I have, I'm not able to go out and be around people. So um, I'm I'm wanting to change my future and what I'm doing, and I'm wanting to base it out of my home.
Right.
Yeah.
So you've just revealed a lot in terms of what you were experiencing back then and
Hmm.
what you have gone through. When you came, how long was it ago when you came across LMA? Was it a couple months ago?
June. In
June.
June.
Okay.
Yeah.
So around that time, talk us around what were you experiencing? What was causing you issues back then in June? How was that showing up in your life?
Um, I have complex PTSD. I've discovered a couple years ago. I was triggered by something that caused a flashback memory. I don't remember most of my life before age 26. Um, I'm what they call a dissociator. Um, and they figure that I've done that since the first day I was born, because I was born with a rare birth defect and had my first surgery at 8 hours old. And so babies don't know how to handle that. So they figure that's when I started. And then I've had a pretty traumatic life. So I've always done with walls up type idea and just plowed through life that way. And so I I'm sorry. Now I was on a path, and this is part of my problem is my thinking, my cognitive. So I forgot what you had asked that I was leading into
It's all
that.
good. It's all good. I was asking in terms of the problems you were experiencing
Oh,
back in June. You
right,
mentioned complex
right.
PTSD. Um,
And yeah, I ended up going to a trauma center for 9 weeks. I came out just before COVID started. I had a number of deaths last year in my family, and I was uh, in a grief group, but I was just going back down that same path, and I was very concerned I was going to be ending up back in the hospital on the suicide ward where I ended up a couple years ago. And I just really didn't know what else to do. And I happened to come across your ad on, I don't even remember how I came across it, to be honest. And I watched it. I've never signed up for an online course before. And I was concerned because of the amount of money, but I thought it had the 30-day money back guarantee. I paid for it with my PayPal. So I knew I'd be okay that way. And you reminded me when I was educating. I used to teach, I was head Canadian educator for a company for 10 years. And I was very passionate about it. And I used to tell stories all the time, and I loved it. And I had very good sales, but I believed it's because I believed in what I was selling. I still use that product to this day and always will.
mm,
And um, I agree, and I believe so much in how you're doing it. You have to believe in it. You have to have passion about it in order to sell it. And it doesn't matter what it is. If it's your life or your story or whatever it is, you have to believe in it. And I saw that in you. And so it didn't feel like a gimmick. But it had the safety of the guarantee and the PayPal. But right from the first week when I started, I did see something different. When I went to the recovery center, I had to learn about CBT and CPT and DBT and all this stuff. And you have to sit down and think and analyze and do this and that. And the problem is, if you grew up not knowing sort of love
Mm.
in a certain aspect or different things, I'm learning, I really don't understand that and don't know that. And with what we're doing here, it's different. We don't have to know that. And we can just go on to our future and what we want to know instead. And then we can get those feelings differently that way. And I've just found that I'm able to sort of be feeling some things that I didn't before. And I sort of just don't really see going back that direction anymore.
Right. So you got started with a course and you began to see, let's say, some of the changes initially.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What would you say were some of the big benefits for you that you experienced?
Well, I definitely, one of the things it did, because it told us about doing your intuition and following things and stuff, one of the things I came right after that, happened to come across Matt Fraser from, I've continued to run the grief group myself for our friends that were in it. And one of the ladies, because as you said, things will be put in your path.
Mm.
I at 17, intuition knew there was something wrong with my brother. And unfortunately, I found him. And it has caused a lot of trauma in my life. And I never got over it, never been able to talk about it. I still can't say his name and certain things. But in my path came Matt Fraser, and he's a medium, and he was running a course called Keeping in Touch. And I was deciding, should I go, shouldn't I go? And fate, the way it put things in front of me, made me realize I should take it, even though I just signed up for this because money was the issue again.
Mm.
And I did sign up for it. And I also did it even though I was doing this. And it also has made a huge change for me in my life. And I think had I not been doing this, I probably would have never signed up for that. So I can see how it's making me more aware and look more for things. And I'm starting, I definitely saw how it's made me start to speak up a bit for myself and start to set some boundaries. Those are things I've never done very well, especially when I'm sick. When I'm not sick, I'm not so bad at it when I'm working,
Yeah.
but not in my personal life. And so that's been a big change for
Right.
me.
So you were saying it's made you more aware, seeing opportunities, and ultimately it led you to making a new decision, right?
Mhm. Yes, and that's a big thing when you say like decisions, and that also beliefs. The difference of looking at beliefs. That beliefs are just beliefs, and
Mm.
events are just events. And keeping that in my mind, that events are just events, and it's how we look at them and how much energy we put into them, that also has made a real difference, because they are just events, and it's just how much energy we care to put into them
Okay.
that makes a difference.
Yeah. So you're saying LMA was the first online course you've done, but what were you doing back then before LMA to try and resolve some of your problems? Where were you turning to for help and so forth?
Well, I've been in counseling most of my life, ever since I had left my ex-husband at 26. I've been seeing counselors and been going to groups. And then, as I said, when my PTSD was triggered, this flashback and stuff, I was 9 weeks at the trauma recovery center. Um, and it gave me, like, when I left, you have what they call the bubble, the love bubble. You feel good for a couple weeks or maybe a couple months. But for me, when I got out, my dad passed away shortly after, within a few weeks. And then COVID happened, and my granddaughter was born, and we got to hold her for a couple of minutes. And then she went to the doctor, and they said, no more. We were stuck in Alberta. Mm. And then they moved to Nova Scotia. And so it has been very hard for me, because my whole life I've wanted grandchildren. I love my children. I've always wanted to be a mom. And I absolutely love and adore children, and want so much. Part of what I want to do in my future is be able to help children. I didn't have anyone there to help me, and I just don't want to see kids go through the stuff that I went through. Mm-hmm. And because they shouldn't have to, because I believe, like you said, children are pure when they're born, and it's everybody else's beliefs that are put on them, and they should just get to be kids. And yeah, everybody needs some rules, but they shouldn't always be having to self-doubt themselves, and they shouldn't be feel bad about who they are, ever. And kids who have had to go through trauma, it's even more. And I think, especially if you're a baby of trauma, you don't even know that that's what's gone on. Yeah. And I've seen that with my boys as well. They were both preemies, and then unfortunately an abusive house for a while. And that I did leave as soon as I saw something with them. I didn't think enough of myself, but I made the changes as soon as I saw something happen with one of them. But it does affect them regardless. And it's just not fair. And I didn't do it for my kids soon enough, but I do something called body talk. It's an energy work. And it's something where nobody has to talk. They can just lay there and you can help them. And I think it's perfect for children and for babies. And I really want to get back into it and be able to work with children at the NICU and stuff like that to help them with that.
Incredible. Yeah. So having now gone through this journey, the LMA journey, Lynn, what would you say has made you feel the happiest or the most surprised about making this decision to join us on board LMA and experience LMA?
I think just what a completely different mindset it is. When I left recovery, it was, okay, I don't feel like I want to hurt myself anymore, but I just have to keep doing this and doing this and doing this and doing this. But it was a reminder that I'd have to do those things. Where now with the LMA, I have a vision of what I want to happen. It's very different. And I'm not so good at doing all of my things, like my mirror exercises and things like that. And I know they're things that I have to work on. And so they're the things that I work on. But I used to be really, and still am, but I'm working on it, really bad at beating myself up about everything I did that didn't go exactly how I wanted it to go. If I dropped something, if everything. And I've noticed that in changing my view of things and how I want things to be, that in turn that has also changed because I've had to start looking inwards and doing that. And I've started to make sure to do things like my gratitude meditations and doing a gratitude journal and doing things that are making me sit down and just sit and be with myself, even if it's only for a minute or two, which for me is long and huge.
Mm.
And so I try each day to at least do that because I've always just gone, 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 gone. So just to sit with nothing going on around me is very difficult for me. And so I'm learning that I need to do that to be able to go within myself and to learn, and learning that that space is where the, like you said, the creativity comes from. And now that I'm thinking about those things, yeah, lots of things come to my mind that I want to do. And when I first started and we had to create our identity, the first thing I thought about it, it was very lofty. And now I look at it and think, yeah, I think I could do that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Amazing. Well, the fact that you've made all these new decisions, no matter how big or small these decisions are, still are decisions ultimately.
Yes.
And so you should definitely be proud. And it's incredible to hear what's happened so far. And it's only the start, right? It's only a
Yes.
start. Okay. So one of my final questions is for somebody watching this video right now, Lynn,
Yes.
what advice would you give to somebody who's possibly considering joining LMA, but kind of sat on the fence right now? Having
Mm.
been through this journey yourself, what advice would you give to this person?
Well, I'd say if you can't decide if you want to do this or not, you have the guarantee of the money back. You, if you have PayPal and you pay through PayPal, that gives you that second option. And you always have your credit cards, which will do that as well too. So you always have that safety net, but it's not a scam. And LMA is the most interactive course that I have ever come across, even though it's online. It's like it's in person. I would advise if people take it, if you're going to pay the money to do it, pay the little bit extra and get your coach. To me, that made a huge difference. My goals that I'd set out before I talked to Toma were all material in a way. They were get my business in order, figure out what I'm going to do, and da 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 da. After I talked to Toma, I was in tears and saying, I just want to figure out who I am.
Wow.
And she's made such a difference and she helps me along the way. And it's that positive influence. And it really makes a difference if you do have, like you say, those dream stealers
Mm.
around you,
Yeah.
because you'll always have somebody positive there. And the other thing that is really a big difference is having that one-on-one partner as well, a peer that's going through this with you. And that if you're going through it and for some reason your one-on-one partner doesn't work with you, because at first my partner didn't, it's okay to ask to change. That's something I never would have done, by the way, before either.
Mm.
So to actually ask for myself for somebody that I needed that was more suited to me was also something I would have never done before. And they were great about doing it and handling it and taking care of all of it. And now I have an amazing partner, Priya. Hi, Priya. And she's awesome. And but it's great because you do have a partner to go through this with, and you
Mm.
get to discuss things and you give each other the tools, and they point out things that you might have that you really didn't know you had, and help you along the way and really give you that encouragement to go along. And you can encourage them, which makes you feel better too. And the lessons aren't really lessons. They're just like they're so full of knowledge, and the stories, it's not like a regular lesson. It's like stories all woven together. And I find stories are more understandable and relatable. And so when you're putting down your notes, you can put the example is, such and such story. And it makes it much easier to go back and recall what it was. And it's very passionate. So you're not going to fall asleep during the lessons. And the weekly one-on-one live sessions are also something else that is amazing, because you have the other people taking it and there's so much support there from everybody. And then the on live line is also amazing. So that's what I mean by it's so interactive. I mean, you have thousands of people in your online support group. You have your online weekly every meeting. You have your one-on-one partner. And then if you choose, you have your coach. I mean, what else can you ask for? And you have your lessons and you have your recorded lessons. So if you can't manage to get it done with all of that, you have your 30-day guarantee. But there's just so much there. I don't know how people couldn't give it a try and see. And I've shared it with so many people since I started. And that was just with me getting to week 2. And then I was away on Hornby. I didn't have reception. So I only got to see 4 and 5 live again. And then when I got to see I was going to interview with you, I tried to get through 3 and 4, but there's so much I couldn't. But it's still the stuff just in 3 and 4 again it's just amazing. And there's just more to add into, as Priya says to me, your toolbox. My past was just giving me lots of stuff in my toolbox. That's how I look at it now. Instead, I just have a big toolbox.
Nice.
And I hope to use it all. And that's what people hopefully will learn too, is their past can just be their toolbox, not their story. Their future can be their story instead.